everyone, it's Diva Carla, Cosmic Crone, and we are here on December 26, 2019 for the Capricorn New Moon and Solar Eclipse Divine Feminine Astrology reading. It is the day after Christmas and a week before New Year's, a week after solstice. It's a potent time. And we have some potent astrology today. And right now, as we begin, I want to call all the crones and the elders, men and women over 50, over 60, over 70, because this particular astrology has something for you. In fact, we are the hope. This is how we, elders and crones, are how the world is going to get through this time. Now, why am I saying that? I see it in the chart. I feel it in my bones. I am called to it, and I know many other crones are called to. I am well connected with circles of wise women and wise men, and we know. In some ways, you could say we made the mess and we now have to clean it up. That's too simplistic. It's much deeper than that. What's going on? Well, let's look at the sun and the moon. They lined up for an eclipse. It happened on the other side of the world. New moon was this morning where I live. It was at 12:13 a.m. So just after midnight. I was sound asleep. And on the other side of the world, where the sun was shining, the sun was in an annular eclipse with the moon. The moon is far enough away from the earth that it didn't completely cover the sun's disk, and so it's called the Ring of Fire eclipse. Incredibly beautiful, the photographs I've seen of it. What is an eclipse? A solar eclipse particularly is a portal into a 19-year sequence. It's like a generation. And so this last new moon of the decade is a portal into the next decade, the next 20 years, in fact. And for some of us, that's the rest of our natural life, especially those of us who are elders. So what is this portal opening up to? It happened in early Capricorn, and it is announcing and setting the stage for an aspect that is already in effect. That is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which occurs with lots of other conjunctions and aspects. What's happening right now at the time of this new moon and eclipse is Saturn and Pluto are less than 2 degrees apart. And Chariklo is there at 23. She is just beginning to separate from a years-long conjunction with Pluto. And they are in aspect to some other significant points, which is where the crones come in. They are, let me see, I am looking at them, okay. What else is happening at the moment of this new moon? Mars and Hecate are conjunct in Scorpio, and they are directly opposite Algol, the demonized goddess, the Lilith star. Mars and Hecate. Hecate is the crone of the crossroads. She stands there saying, which way will you choose? And once you choose, she offers you help, because when you choose a path, the first thing you encounter are the obstacles to continuing down that path. She herself is not the obstacle, although we can tend to blame it on her. We think it's her. She's actually there with wisdom and tools that can be used to guide you and help you get through the obstacles on the path that you're choosing. And right now we have Mars standing with her, merging their energies. Mars is masculine energy. We associate him with war, decisiveness, the use of weapons, fire, masculine eroticism. He is very much a decision-making energy, an energy that will get things done, that will focus. So he is really focusing the energy of Hecate, of making this choice, of choosing a path. And he's also, Hecate also stands for going between the worlds. She makes the bridge. She conducts people. She conducts Persephone, the goddess, back and forth between Earth, this fertile place of the living, and the underworld, where she is married to Hades, also known as Pluto. So she's very much connected to the Plutonic energy that is happening in Capricorn right now and is being illuminated by all these conjunctions that are ganging up to happen in 2 weeks' time. So these two are opposite Algol, the demonized goddess. The goddess demonized by patriarchy, and yet we know she has never left us, and she is not a demon. However, in this context in which we meet her, she is, it's in the context of the patriarchy. This is something I was thinking about while looking at this chart. I began to realize, and I keep getting reminded of it, how we are so steeped in the experience and language of patriarchy. It's the only language we have to talk about things. So we talk about the divine feminine in the language that patriarchy has taught us. And we don't know what it's like to live and breathe and think in the language in which the goddess is central. And so that is where the nonverbal languages can be so potent. The language of ritual, of drumming, of dancing, of art, of sex, and even looking. I mean, I create this language of the divine feminine in astrology. I use those goddesses to try to give me a handle. Excuse me, I just feel like I want to sit down and get comfortable here. And I just grabbed this book. I got myself the Christmas present of Mary Magdalene Revealed, which is a book by Megan Watterson, and she is looking at the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. I didn't even know there was one. And so that is revisiting this time, in a way making a bridge between the patriarchal religion that Christianity became and a religion or a spirituality that acknowledged masculine and feminine in partnership as necessary to one another. And that's really what we are creating now. And so somehow this Mars-Hecate conjunction, opposite connecting with projecting to Algol, is saying we are going to remember how to be in partnership together, how to walk this path in partnership, deep feminine wisdom, masculine energy, and that is a masculine wisdom. Masculine wisdom is a wisdom of action. It is what gets things done. You know, it is the women, the female body, the womb, that transports new humans from, and not just new humans, but new beings from wherever they were, from the cosmos into life on this planet. And yet that does not happen without the ignition of masculine energy, that particular masculine energy that sets everything in motion. So that's going on right now. And there is another, Algol is also featured in a yod right now at the time of this new moon. Haumea, another grandmother goddess, the grandmother goddess who gave birth to all the gods of Hawaii, and the galactic center, the black hole, the great goddess, if you will, at the center of our galaxy, holding it all together. They are in a flow. It's called a sextile. And both of those are sending their energy again towards the demon star, Algol. So much attention has been on Algol lately. You've heard me over and over again talk about Vesta reuniting with the dark goddess, that Vesta-Algol conjunction that is in process now. And right now, at this portal into the new decade with this solar eclipse, we have the deep, dark, vast feminine pointing towards the demonized goddess. Why is she so important? And why do I keep calling her that? It's because she's coming back. She's taking her place in our hearts, our souls, on our altars. And I'm going to imagine that she is directing some of the activity that's going on in Capricorn as Saturn and Pluto unite with all these other planets that are going to converge on this point of 22 Capricorn over the next month. I really believe that she is watching that she is orchestrating it, that she knows that whatever happens in Capricorn, where Pluto, death and transformation, meets Saturn, structures, governments, corporations, that something's going to break apart, something's going to break wide open. And she is there because that is her re-entry. What else is going on that kind of gives, see, I look at this aspect and I say, what are the resources here? And the resources keep pointing to all the Lilith star, Algol, that I've talked about. She right now is in a sextile, she is flowing her energy back and forth to Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith, I have decided, is the energy of the goddess before patriarchy. She is this vast feminine vortex who gathers up the energy of the universe and brings it into form, that turns it into molecules and atoms and galaxies and mushrooms and bacteria and people and animals and trees and all of the things. She is the feminine creative principle and the original feminine creative principle. And so right now she is working in concert with the demonized goddess. And they are all in aspect. Black Moon Lilith over in Pisces is trine, also in flow to Hecate and Mars. So you've got this fertilization energy of Mars directing, igniting. You've got the wisdom of the crone saying, make a decision, walk down this path. And either path you choose, it's leading to the goddess. Whatever variation of the goddess you need to connect with. And they're all at work here. So, yeah, I feel like at this time, there's more, but I feel like the goddess is orchestrating this. I don't believe she's sitting and waiting passively to see what's going to happen next. So what else is happening? I'm going to mention this. The big conjunction that's happening is happening in a square to Eris. Eris is the goddess of discord. She is throwing a monkey wrench. She is throwing a golden apple into the works and creating chaos, creating disaster. Eris is famous as being the one who started the Trojan War. She manipulated events and emotions and people so that they wound up having a very early world war in that time and place. And it's not a pretty thought. It's a freaking scary thought for those of us. It was horrible for the people then to be living with eternal war in that context, in that day and age. We have bigger weapons. Our Trojan horses are things like Russian trolls influencing elections and pestilence and global warming and nuclear whatever. We've got a lot that's going on, a lot that we just have to put out of our minds in order to go day by day, and yet we cannot. We do so at our peril. And every decision that we make now has an influence on what's going on. Charlie's about to come in and get something off the printer that's going to distract me. So I may holler at him and let him know he can come in and grab it if he needs it. So what else is going on? We have Lilith, the personalized disowned feminine, the Lilith asteroid at 7 Sagittarius. She is communicating with her opposite member, the most confident goddess, Venus. Venus, the bright and shining one, the one who embodies all that is glorious about the feminine, about the erotic, about abundance and the creative, feminine creative principle, the one that we can see and relate to and worship and adore, and we all aspire to. So the disowned aspects of our feminine are right now in close communication with our glorious and magnified and great aspects of the feminine. And those are square Albion. Albion is the thresholder, the one who supervises birth, death, and orgasm. So the healing that has to happen in all of our lives, the healing around coming into this life and leaving this life, our trauma at being born, our trauma at dying, and then all of the trauma that we have associated with sex, all of that, for some reason in this patriarchal world, instead of being something that we rejoice in and we understand as natural, it's full of rules and disconnection and pain, suffering, and trauma. So all of these things, they are connected right now. Lilith, Venus, Albion, and Magdalena. I'm just reading Magdalene Revealed, Mary Magdalene Revealed. Magdalena, I talked about her a lot in personal charts that I do for my clients. And it depends on how she shows up. But in a natal chart, any given natal chart, she's usually got something to say. And she's been kind of quiet. She's over in Leo. And there's not much happening around her right now, except she has been in an opposition to Venus for the past moon cycle, and that's still active. So she's a part of this whole aspect that I've just described, feminine Christ consciousness, really grounding us into our spirituality, helping us to remember the divine within us, and that we are not disowned by God as the feminine. That's happening right now. And then something else that's happening, Nessus. Nessus at 8 Pisces is in a square to the disowned feminine Lilith. This is where I got to thinking about the language of the patriarchy. Nessus is the place where we heal. It's where we heal past trauma and abuse that has been passed down through our entire lineage, our entire culture. And for those of us with active Lilith asteroids, right now there is an aspect that says we have some energy that needs attention to heal our disowned feminine in our personal lives, our disowned relationship to power, money, and sex, our voice, the truth. There's a conversation happening in my group around trust and trust between men and women in intimate relationship. That feels like it might be relevant to this conversation that Nessus and asteroid Lilith is having. What else is going on there? There's something else that's going on there. Oh, I know what I wanted to say that I'm puzzling over. And that is this language of, we speak about this healing journey. We speak about the problems in the language of patriarchy. The Me Too movement is something that is given to us by patriarchy because it is calling out perpetrators by women who are declaring, coming forth and saying, I was a victim. And I don't think anybody wants to hold on to that language or that status. However, the patriarchy can really use that. It can give all kinds of lip service to changing, to fixing the problem, while at the same time loading up victim-perpetrator language and conceptualization so that it becomes very easy for victims to stay in the victim place and perpetrators to, usually they send up a scapegoat. If we get a few high-profile convictions like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, then the rest of us can kind of breathe easy and maybe make a comeback. Or we can wait for this to die down and then it's business as usual. It's tricky. Ultimately, this is a necessary stage in breaking down the structures. You have to shine the light on the structures, and people have to be very brave and come forward and say, I am stronger than any of your threats to hurt me. And, very important, we are stronger together. I am not alone in this. I don't care how many non-disclosure agreements you had me sign. I am not alone, and together our voices will be heard. And then we create space for the feminine to come in. Yes, we heard a lot of not all men. And I think it's really important, in the same way that white people have to inspect and become aware of our invisible to us racism, all men who are reared in patriarchy, and most of them doing the best they can in that context, have to be able to see their own invisible to them misogyny. Yes, it's a very deep cellular change that we're working on. And the astrology, looking at it this time, it simply shows us that it's happening. And the incredible irony is that when we women, or any of us, women, white people, anybody who is benefiting from the system of patriarchy, we have to tear down what feels like our support system, our livelihood, our economy, our government, the things that we've benefited from. It's all at risk. And so we are looking for a deeper trust in something older and bigger even than these structures that have supported us for a few hundred years, a few thousand years, certainly all of our natural life. And so in the same way that we, with great consciousness and devotion, and this is why, especially in the new year, I'll be talking even more about Vesta. With consciousness and devotion, we seek and practice the ways that will get us deep inside of this transformation and root us deep into the new structures. Let me reframe that. The old structures that we will revive and remember, because those will hold us secure while things are breaking apart all around us, or appear to be. We're in for something big. It's important. It's necessary. It's the 2020s, a dismantling of the old and a rebirthing of the older, and what is new from that seed, from that grafting onto that old rootstock. We will create something new. We will never go all the way back. We can't, we're not supposed to, but we know we need to graft onto the roots of what it was like when women were drummers, when women were sovereign, when women and the priestess were interceding and connecting us to the divine feminine. And yes, there is room for men in that world. And I believe that's all I have to say about this structure right now. We are simply opening a door. This eclipse, this moon, is opening a door that's been open for a while, but this is the gate we're passing through. This is a point of no return. We'll wake up a week from now, and it will be a new year. And we'll be that much closer to the big conjunction in 2020. I haven't looked far ahead into the astrology. I do know the farthest I've looked is that around my birthday in March, Vesta will reunite with Algol again. And so what I'm doing a lot of in January, and I recommend you do it too. If you didn't see somewhere, scroll down on this page, you're going to see where I did a womb centering with Vesta. We really need to spend some time exploring and questioning, asking, listening, being silent around what devotion to the dark goddess means, what Vesta will help us do, and who she can help us be as we're moving into this time. Maybe a true understanding of all my relations is emerging. I think that's really important, especially for European-based white people, because indigenous people they understand that. And I think I'm still learning. I am still seeking to understand what it means. I believe that my understanding of it is very elementary, very childlike, very incomplete and imperfect. So thank you for bringing that up, Jen. So yes, spend time with Vesta, spend time in your womb, go find that and listen to it and practice it. And spend time with the fire, spend time with the water, spend time with the moon. And What is your role? Coming back to Hecate, what path do you need to take? What path have you been scared to take? What path have you been kind of stuck at the beginning because you stepped onto the path and the first thing that you were met with was a big obstacle, a big problem, something, or the pain of an old wound that triggered the hell out of you? Well, Nessus and the Lilith asteroid are here to help with that. And you know what? I'm here to help with that too. There are all around you elders and teachers and healers, people who can lay on their hands, who can guide you in ritual, who can hold space for your healing. Seek those people out. Do not try to do this alone. I love you. Thank you for being here. Blessed new moon, blessed solstice. I'll see you next year.